Should stock market investors care more about Nvidia or the Fed? Inflation data will provide a test. The Fed's favored inflation gauge is due out this week, and it may refocus Wall Street's attention. But should we just stop worrying about monetary policy and just embrace AI?
I don't think it's an embrace. First of all, we should stop worrying about the Fed and monetary policy anyway.
Okay.
Monetary policy is not a panacea, right?
Yes,
That's right.
But that I think these are two very different things. Yes, we should stop worrying about the Fed, and yes, we should stop placing so much emphasis on Nvidia as well, because Nvidia's day is going to come, and it's not going to be pretty.
Well, let's talk treasuries because it's a conversation that we like to have at the start of the week. And what is the S&P implied move for the week? It's always a fun game.
Sure. Even the S&Ps, you're looking at around 50-ish handles, maybe even 54, 55, which is around what it's been on the lower end. Bonds, on the other hand, ZB are up 6 ticks to 119.09. They've actually caught themselves a little rally after being around 117.5 just about 48 hours ago.
All right, that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
I mean, we've had a nice little bounce in the bonds, but that's about it.
Hey, the NASDAQ 100 rose 3% for the first time since the dot-com bubble era. It brings up old memories of this scary period. History and seasonal weakness may lead to a pullback in U.S. stocks over the next few weeks, say a couple of analysts. But the tech-heavy NASDAQ 100 last week advanced over 3% to score an all-time high for the first time since March of 2000. I keep asking you about the similarities and parallels, but let's just keep talking about it because we keep hitting them.
I mean, the NASDAQ 100 is out of control. I don't know what else you could say relative to the Russell, relative to the Dow, relative to the S&Ps even. I'm not sure.
Are you still pairs trading it?
No, I don't have a pairs trade on there. I'm a little bit short the NASDAQ, but I don't really have, I mean, it's hard to be short it. It's just.
Sure, yeah.
It's hard to be shorted because it keeps going up, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's easy to be shorted. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to be shorted with any confidence. Let's put it that way. I think it's, listen, I think you have to be shorted here because it's gross, but it hasn't had a downtick and it goes up a lot easier than it goes down.
Well, in other indice news, the SPDR S&P 500 ETF topped a record $500 billion in assets as Nvidia continues to soar. The largest and most liquid funds tracking the S&P 500 index topped $500 billion on Thursday. A sizable chunk of those gains came from the surge in Nvidia. The stock shares are up nearly 60% year to date. Just want to talk about the SPDRs.
The spiders are really not too much to talk about. The market's actually unchanged right now on ES after being down last night about 10 handles or so. But Nvidia, on the other hand, is up about $8 or $9.
Well, we'll get to that. I'm dancing around it, but that's wild. Hey, on the docket this week, though, clothing and electronics retailers are set to report earnings that could offer an insight into consumer spending. Macy's, Urban Outfitters, Best Buy, and TJX are all set to report this week. Over the past 2 years, clothing and electronics haven't exactly been a big priority for shoppers. So it will be interesting to see if price pressures are affecting the way consumers use their discretionary spending. I don't know if you have any positions in these stocks, but
I don't.
Okay. Like a Macy's, an M, or a BBY, Best Buy? No.
No, we haven't touched those. Macy's $19 and change actually kind of staged a little bit of a rally last couple of weeks.
Okay. I think you're also gonna get maybe eBay this week. Not sure.
eBay, I'll give you. Yeah, I mean there are a few others. eBay comes out on the 27th after the market closes, so tomorrow.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And also Lowe's, because we had Home Depot.
Yep. Yep, you are right. LOW will have earnings also. It's coming out on the good catch, Minetta, tomorrow morning.
Yay! Hey! And then a couple of cloud plays, Snow and Okta. I don't know if you have positions in those.
Snow,
Yeah, Tom
yes.
doesn't like me to mention Snow, but it's the 28th after the close.
No,
Okay.
I have positions in Snow. That's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's the 28th after the market closes.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that's what's on the docket for this week. So, hey, let's talk commodities. Crude oil opened the week with a little bit down as traders await cues on market balance. Oil edged lower after a weekly drop as traders await a fresh raft of clues about global crude demand and balances in March and beyond. Let's talk some light sweet crude.
Oil 76.35, about mid-range for the last couple of weeks. It's got a high of around 79 and a low of around 71. It's 76 and change.
Yeah, I just actually covered my front month position this morning, and so
I'd be rated 29, starting to creep up a little bit.
yeah. There's just, when you look at the options though, it feels like there's not a lot of premium there. Take a look at you got to go to almost the 25 or 30 delta to collect anything. It's not. There's
Are
not.
you in CL? Just in CL?
Yeah, it's just in CL.
USO is a very hard product to trade.
Yeah, CL's got the best markets, but the problem is I just don't think there's a lot of premium in there right now. I kept my position really small.
I think Mike and Nikki are just using XLE, if that's...
Yeah, that's not. I like CL better.
Okay, well, we don't all have billions of dollars.
It's the same amount of money.
To trade XLE as CL? No, it's not.
You'd be surprised. It's not that much different.
Okay, it's not the same. You said it's the same.
You're right, Vanetta.
Yeah, I was like, Ooh, hey, what rental car did you get while you were in Park City? Speaking of oil.
I shouldn't have rented a car at all. I should just take an Uber. Rented a
Yeah,
big.
because you don't leave the mountain, right?
Yeah, because there's a shuttle. Yeah, you walk everywhere. You're ski in, ski out.
No, I know, but just because we took Ubers into town, I rented a Yukon, the big car.
Oh, a GMC Yukon. You don't know. Yeah.
It was nice.
I rented a big boy.
It was nice, but I probably didn't need a car. I could have just taken Ubers.
Yeah. All right. I was just curious. Hey, in other news, come on, load. Hey, crypto projects have received over 90 billion in all-time funding, according to a new analysis. The total all-time dollar amount invested into crypto and blockchain-related companies exceeded 90 billion, according to the Block Research, which has been tracking funding data for startups in the digital asset space since 2017. Does this number seem high or low to you?
The number it actually seems a little high because 90 billion, when you think about the size of the space, 90 billion seems like a lot.
Well, 90 billion is a lot of money.
When you think about $90 billion in general, you can understand $90 billion investing in crypto projects or digital assets. I think that number makes sense. But when you think about the total size of the space, that actually trades, what is it, 2 trillion or something like that?
90 billion seems small.
Yeah, 90 billion on a $2 trillion asset class seems like a lot to me. But 90 billion, if you just said it outright, wouldn't seem that much.
Well, it's been going sideways the last 2 weeks. 51,000 hanging out there. It's gotten as high as like 53 and change, and down to around 50.
I mean, I don't think they've been able to raise a lot of money in the crypto space in the last, since the FTX stuff. I think it's been really challenging.
Sure. But there was like a glory day, in all of the stadiums and arenas were crypto, and every other commercial.
Yeah, the question is, did they really
crypto.
raise? Is that really money raised, or is that did they just float coins? I'm just not sure of the answer. I don't know what it was.
Well, let's see what Coinbase is doing this morning.
Coin, that's been a little bit of a mover as of late, and it is up around $2 this morning, 168 and change.
Okay.
After reaching a high of around 195 or so, and also in the same month span was down to around $120. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's had 200 to 120, back to 200, sitting at 170, just under.
Okay. Hey, Warren Buffett mourns his pal Charlie Munger in his letter, but also says that Berkshire's eye-popping performance is over. Warren Buffett on Saturday moved to reassure investors that his conglomerate Berkshire Hathaway would serve them well over the long term, even as he mourned the recent passing of his longtime second-in-command Charlie Munger. In his widely read annual letter to Berkshire shareholders, Buffett said his more than 900 billion conglomerate has become a fortress that is built to last, but he did warn that their eye-popping performance is over. I know you don't super care, but this is kind of important, what he mentioned, yes?
I mean, important to shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway.
I don't hold any Berkshire stock. I wish I did, because then I wouldn't have to do this.
Either do I. So I don't, it's not important to me. It's important to somebody, maybe, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, I just thought I would try to entice you into a discussion, but let's leave it there. Hey, I do want to talk about Nvidia because Nvidia last week briefly surpassed 2 trillion in market cap, and they were literally mentioned in every story I've already covered this morning, whether it's the high in the NASDAQ or the high in the spiders or the high in everything else. Shares of the company have continued to rally since its Rosie's earnings report that was on Wednesday. What is your plan on handling Nvidia this week?
With kid gloves.
I mean, I haven't done anything right in there in almost a month, so
It's up about $10 this morning now.
I would
That
be the
is
wrong.
wild.
I would be the wrong person to ask.
Well, you have a position to manage, though.
I
so you
do,
gotta
but my
pick the right-
position is garbage at this point. I mean, I need to stock. I need to stock $150 lower. Like, there's
No, but it goes up like $20 every day, though.
Well, it was up like $30 higher on Friday, and then it sold off. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Bat, do you have a position in Nvidia?
No, it took me out to the woodshed and I left it.
Okay. But I was just curious, how is the volatility in there? Like, is there still juice this week?
Oh yeah, Ivy rank of 47. It's tradable. Good markets. They disseminate. Now remember, these are $30, $40, and $50 options. Even you go far out of the money. At a 25 delta, you got $25 options, $5,000 in premium if you're selling both sides. So it's there, but the markets could be 30, 40, 50 cents wide, but it's very liquid. Trades wrapped around mid price.
Hey, staying in the chip space, Broadcom, which also had a nice week just because of Nvidia, so AVGO, they're nearing a $3.8 billion sale of their remote access unit to KKR. Chipmaker Broadcom is nearing a $4 billion deal to sell its business that allows users to access desktops and applications from any device to private equity firm KKR, AVGO.
Yeah,
so I don't know if you trade AVGO. I've traded a little bit with an iron condor, very wide at around the 15 deltas, collecting around $2.5 to $3 when you have plenty of time left, like 53 days right now. This has earnings March 7th, Ivy rank of 53.
I mean, we have the same thing. We have a we have a $20 wide iron condor that we're basically unchanged on. I don't know. I don't know what else you can do in there. It's a $1,300 stock. I mean,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's got to have defined risk. Something.
Yeah, it's a defined risk. It's going to be some form of an iron condor or.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that is good to know. Hey, investors are fleeing tumbling EV upstarts that were once hailed as the next Tesla. Is it time to stick a fork in EV companies? There was a time when the backing of some of the world's deepest pockets were ready and willing to back electric cars. But it's been a rough road for all things electric, especially we learned last week as the new info earnings reports from Rivian and Lucid again failed to inspire, with Rivian continuing to announce job layoffs. Is it over for EVs?
That's the dumbest thing. Of course, it's not over for EVs.
Well, the
Like-
bloom is off the rose from an investment standpoint.
I mean, yeah. I mean, is it over for cannabis because the stocks went
Yeah,
lower?
the bloom is off the rose there too.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm
Bloom will
saying,
eventually
but
be
people
off
aren't.
the rose.
But people aren't
Nvidia
going to
too.
stop using cannabis, and people aren't going to like anybody that has an electric
Not
car.
if they watch this show, they're not going
Well,
to.
yeah, at least you could smoke the bloom once it's off the rose. No.
I mean, I think anybody that's ever driven an electric car, and this is just from my own experience, I don't think you can ever go back to driving a gas car like
But they're
full time.
wildly expensive. Like the costs
I understand.
haven't come
I'm just
down.
saying.
They don't work in the winter.
The prices have come down, but
Prices aren't. They've come down. Oh, by the
Now
way,
come down to a nice $80,000.
So Tony,
No, you can
20.
you can buy Teslas in the 30 range and lower now.
Tony.
But
So there was where I was staying in Utah. There was a Cybertruck parked out in front, and there was a guy that drove it there, and I hadn't seen one up close and personal,
Well, I saw one at the auto show. I got to see
and
it.
I actually kind of liked it.
they say it grows on you from the outside.
Yeah,
That is-
it grew on me. Exactly. I didn't think I
But
liked
it's
it.
not that nice on the inside.
I believe
That's what a
you.
lot of people say.
I couldn't see on the inside. I just saw it from the
Yeah.
outside. It was the first time I'd seen
was the
one.
back seat comfortable, Sosnoff?
It was the first time I'd seen one out in the wild, and I kind of liked it.
yeah.
That's what
I
people
think though.
say,
I
bro.
think the real thing is like until you've driven electric, whether it's a plug-in hybrid, whether it's full electric, whatever, it's like the most depressing thing for me when I'm driving an electric car or plug-in hybrid is when the electric runs out and you got to deal with gas. Like you're like, oh crap, now I got to go.
These are not real problems. What are you guys doing in Tesla? Let's talk Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla's really the only tradable product there, unless you just have a bone to pick on direction on any one of the other EV
I'm not.
stock.
I mean, yeah, Tesla. We have nothing. We're a little bit long.
Up $1, 192, but that doesn't tell you the whole story. Tesla's been on a little bit of a sell-off lately after going from around 260 to about 190, really without stopping.
Good. Yeah. Hey, U.S. lawmakers are reportedly pushing for an import ban on PDD's Temu. Oh no, the site that's the favorite of boomers everywhere could be in U.S. lawmakers' crosshairs. The stock dropped following reports that U.S. lawmakers aim to restrict its high discount e-commerce site Temu with an import ban. Let's talk PDD.
Why would they want to ban imports from them?
Because they say the Chinese company has not done enough to prevent its suppliers from using forced labor. You asked. I was just trying to dance around it, but you asked, so I answered. That's why.
Sometimes we want to be lied to.
All right, well.
Yeah.
PDD, what are you doing in PDD?
I have no position.
62 Ivy rank is good. Earnings looming March 18th.
In other Chinese stock news,
It's down about $4, by the way, 123 and change.
yeah, that's a nice move. After doubts about Alibaba's future, co-founder Joe Tsai says, "We're back, baby." The Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba is back on track to be a top market player after a period of pressure. Co-founder Joe Tsai said in an interview on Friday he expects the penetration of e-commerce in China will exceed 40% in the next 5 years, up significantly from the current 30% level. What are you doing in Baba?
In Baba, we're long.
Okay.
We're just
Is it up?
naked. I don't think so, but we're just naked short puts in there.
Bob is basically unchanged, 75.80, down about a dime.
Hey, AT&T suffered a massive network outage last week where tens of thousands of customers were unable to use their phones for around 12 hours, to which AT&T said, "Here's $5. I'm not making this up. Oh, AT&T. The massive outage, which at one point was even investigated by the FBI, was left, like I said, tens of thousands of people unable to use their cell phones. And with many of us only having cell phones and not having landlines, it was a huge disruption to a lot of people's lives. Again, to which AT&T said, "I see your pain and suffering. Here's $5.
They didn't even send me $5. They sent me an apology.
Oh, your phone was out?
They sent me an apology, too. I didn't know.
You might get like a statement credit. Like, I don't know.
I don't actually know if my phone was out because, like,
You were on the plane?
I don't know, but I also don't know. Like, if I might have thought it was maybe I just didn't get, like I didn't.
I mean, he might have thought it was boomer era, is what he's trying to say.
Oh yeah, you don't know when your phone.
But
I don't know how to work this.
But they sent me like 6 text messages, all saying, "We apologize for any inconvenience. We need to do better." Like, I'm like, is this really AT&T?
Yeah, you do better.
Yeah, you do better, AT&T.
And you know what, Sazno? You do better too. Was that UConn you rented electric? You do better, Sazno.
All right.
Do they make
in other
electric?
news, United Airlines is following in the footsteps of American and JetBlue and Alaska by raising its checked bag fee for $5. Carriers have changed the price to check a bag depending on whether travelers pay for it in advance or at the airport. But basically, the airlines are like, look, how are we supposed to pay all of our fancy new pilots these wages if we don't stick it to you, the customer? So this is just crappy all around. Everything's so expensive for whatever. UAL, what are you doing in UAL?
UAL and some of the airlines. UAL 45 and change. Right now going sideways the last couple of days, but it's had a nice rally from around the 40 to about 45 or so last week or so. UAL IB rank of 24.
Tom is a local celebrity, and he was just recently asked to talk about this, but he will talk about it with me. And I want to talk about Reddit. Reddit's going to IPO, but if you look in Reddit's IPO filing, man, that thing is a minefield of issues. In fact, Reddit warns that Wall Street Bets, like the subreddit Wall Street Bets, could actually wreak havoc on its stock price. In its IPO documents, Reddit said the price and volume of its stock could experience extreme volatility for reasons unrelated to our underlying business. They also outline the fact that they rely on 60,000 unpaid moderators. And this thing just seems like a minefield of just unknowns. What are your thoughts on the Reddit IPO?
I have a couple of thoughts. First of all, they do rely on their moderators, but the nice thing is that they cut their moderators in on the IPO, which I think is a smart move on their part. And then at least they give, they're letting them buy stock. And then the other thing is, which I think is a good faith move by Reddit. The other thing that I think is interesting about Reddit that nobody's brought up yet is Reddit is the kind of company. Now remember, Reddit's old. They've been around since 2005, I think. And they've always been this private company that's easily raises capital. They never made any money, but they do like 800 million in revenue, and without even trying. And I kind of feel like, they have, I don't know how many, billion people log in a month, and they have like 71 million people. They have such a monetizable audience. And I think this is a company that's going to benefit.
But people are worried that the monetization, like now flipping that switch on, is going to ruin what inherently makes the site great.
Well, I also think that Reddit is the kind of company that needs a kick in the ass because they need to be public in order to force their hand to start to learn how to make money, because there's no excuse when you have.
Now, what she's trying to say is they've got this underworld. Reddit's got this underworld of inside information that they procure for themselves with all of the knowledge that they get by crowdsourcing everything that they do. And if it goes public, it becomes, cryptocurrency as a publicly traded company. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. They like being on the fringe, I believe.
I think that's the case. I think Reddit has the most interesting demographic of any social media company. Like it's a pure millennial site, and I think it's a monetizable demographic. I think it's going to be a good one. I hope they sell it on the opening. I hope they open it too cheap.
Are you worried about the volatility? Because you literally have
why would I ever be worried about
people dedicated to like shorting the shit out of
That's
stock.
what they say. These are all one-lotters, please. And it's just that's the biggest bunch of crap. I read the same thing, and that's crap.
I don't know that it is. Like they exist.
Hold it. Nobody sells stuff in the whole no. That would be the best.
Just ask Melvin Capital, man. I don't know.
It'd be the best thing that ever happened to Reddit, the stock prices, if all these guys sold it on the opening, which they can't even do.